Right off the bat, I would just like to put a disclaimer here that this video will contain spoilers for The Mandalorian Season 2 as a whole. Now, a topic of conversation when it comes to The Mandalorian and especially Season 2 is that it has too much fan service. And first of all, I would like to clarify what fan service actually is, and I'm going to put the definition onto the screen for you guys to read it. Fanservice is material which is intentionally added to please the audience with little or no relevance to the plot itself. Now, right off the bat, in The Mandalorian, the plot elements and the characters which are introduced are, although fan favorite characters from the Star Wars universe, but they are integral part of the plot and the story, as without those aspects, like the characters and the certain planets, the story itself wouldn't work, which I will discuss later down the line. But first of all, I would like to give you a few real examples of fan service in Star Wars, which not a lot of people actually noticed that it is fan service, but it's so blatantly clear that it is that I just have to point those out. And the main example of that, we have to go back just into 2015 with The Force Awakens, where Han Solo was portrayed as the space pirate that everybody remembers him from The New Hope, from the first Star Wars movie. Although what basically everybody or a lot of people forget about Han Solo's character is that he has had a very profound and meaningful character arc in the original trilogy, where he goes from this self-serving space pirate, he's just kind of a con man to be honest, to a hero, a war hero who is self-sacrificing. And this decision to make him be the same character that he was in A New Hope was done to his character and his character arc to basically just sell more seats and more tickets for the movie. It was just a purely utilitarian decision to do that, because from the story perspective, it doesn't make sense for the character to go back to his old ways. And maybe the biggest example of that, other than this, that I have just mentioned, is Rogue One, where the whole premise of the movie, the whole existence of the movie is not justified at all. Because if the story of Rogue One was important, like how the rebels actually got the plans to the Death Star, then George Lucas would have originally included that in The New Hope, or he would have made a spin-off movie or some other material dealing with that issue. But the problem with the film is that the film was turned into a fan service film, as the studio has reshot like the majority of the film. Because if you watch the first trailer or teaser trailer for the film, it was actually meant to be a lot different than the version that we got. And the version that we got actually feels like it was just sewed together at the last minute, and therefore the characters are not very interesting, what they say and what they do. It doesn't carry any weight. And yes, the studio has panicked and basically reshot the majority of the film, and in order to appease the fans. And it's so blatantly obvious, they have put in cameos in scenes that don't serve the plot of the film at all. One of the biggest examples would be like the Dr. Cornelius Evazan and Ponta Baba scene, where they just hop into those characters, even though there is no point in that like 5 to 10 second scene. Bail Organa being in the movie, even though he doesn't even have a line in the film. R2 and C-3PO being in the film for whatever reason. They don't serve the plot, they are just there for you to cheer at them. Maybe the worst example of that is that CGI Grand Moff Tarkin, which really looked terrible and was even detrimental to the plot or the villain of the story, as it undermined that character. And Grand Moff Tarkin's place would have been better served with the antagonist of Rogue One, but the studio felt like that they had to include him to appease the fans of the original film. And of course we had CGI Leia, which, and again, it was just blatantly obvious that it didn't serve the plot and it was just pointless. But the biggest example of that is that Darth Vader hallway scene, where it just doesn't serve the plot in any meaningful way. Like, that whole scene is about Darth Vader hacking people to death with a lightsaber, and it is just pure fan service. Although it's a great scene, it shouldn't be in the movie. Now, when it comes to The Mandalorian, the fan favorite characters in the planets, like Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, and a certain Jedi Knight, alongside the planet of Tatooine, feel like they are an organic part of the whole story and the plot of the series, especially of Season 2, as we know that they're currently present in the timeline of the universe. And when it comes to the integration of these characters and to ask ourselves what is fan service and what isn't, we have to ask the question first, what makes more sense? Ignoring these already established characters and creating new ones, or using the already established characters like Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, and Boba Fett to move the story forward, making it feel more organic and natural, while making the story feel like it is truly a part of the Star Wars universe. Because we have included these characters and they feel like a natural part of the story. And one of the main reasons that the Disney sequel trilogy doesn't feel like neither the end nor even the continuation of the George Lucas Star Wars films is because it blatantly ignores what the prequels have set when it comes to not just the lore of Star Wars, but the universe itself, as the prequels are basically the crux of what Star Wars actually is, even though a lot of people don't like to acknowledge that, but it doesn't make it any less true. And one of the biggest reasons why The Mandalorian is such a huge success amongst even the hardcore fans of Star Wars is because it uses the already established characters in the universe and utilizes them to forward the plot, as Din has to look for other Mandalorians. Due to that, Boba Fett's armor comes into play, as everybody who has seen the films know him, and he's even shown to be there at the end of the first episode of Season 2, even though it is not necessarily clear who that is to the general audience, which leaves them in suspense that he must be somebody important and it will be explored later down the line. While Din is also looking for other Mandalorians, he's held by the Night Owls, who are led by none other than Bo-Katan Kryze, who is an already well-established character. But what is important for the general audience is that she is a Mandalorian, and she can lead Din to a Jedi, therefore finishing his quest. And that Jedi turns out to be none other than Ahsoka Tano, since Bo-Katan and Ahsoka are acquainted, let's just say that. And when Din finds Ahsoka Tano, the focus of the episode is rather split into two parts, or the main plot of the season is rather put into the background, as Ahsoka fights against the tyrants are at the forefront, although it is Din's fight as well, since he has an interest in Ahsoka's knowledge about the Jedi, and it also uses that plot to further Din as a character. And in the next episode, Boba Fett appears to claim his armor from Din, as he has been following him for a while now. And while they fight off the Imperial forces, the Razor Crest is blasted to pieces, leaving Din without a ship to travel with. And since Boba Fett has recovered his armor from Din, he feels indebted to him and wants to help him in his quest. Therefore, Din now has a vehicle to travel with and pursue Moff Gideon. In the season finale of The Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker appears to save the day. Now, this inclusion feels natural, as Luke Skywalker at the end of The Return of the Jedi is quested to rebuild the Jedi Order, unlike Ahsoka, and is powerful enough to quote-unquote hear Grogu through the Seeing Stone. Therefore, he knows where he can be located, as he can follow him or hear him through the Force. Now, Luke Skywalker is portrayed as a savior or even a space Jesus, as we see him in that scene from the point of view of the characters of Din, Grogu, Bo-Katan, and so on, while also the mesmerizing music during that scene also reinforces the thought. The same goes for Bo-Katan's reaction to Luke's appearance, which I think sums up the scene perfectly well, and how those characters actually perceive Luke Skywalker. And even when the Mandalorian actually uses fan service, those moments are rather subtle references or integrated into the plot in a way where they feel natural and organic. Like, for example, Cobb Vanth in the first episode using one of Anakin's pod's engine as an engine for his speeder bike, or the reference of R4, and also the Crate Dragon and its pearl, which is a reference to Knights of the Old Republic. But it feels natural, and it is part of the Star Wars universe, which a lot of people have not seen before. All in all, The Mandalorian has used fan-favorite characters and planets, not for the sake of blatant and mindless fan service to make the hardcore fans feel like they are being catered to, but to tell an intriguing and captivating story with the aforementioned well-known characters and planets integrated into it, making the whole story feel more grounded and real within the already well-established universe of Star Wars. But what do you think about The Mandalorian Season 2's integration of these characters and planets? Let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. And until then, remember to keep it insightful.